What's up, everyone? Coach Laxbog here. I really enjoyed doing that PLL draft with you. I really enjoyed doing the PLL draft grades. If you didn't see the 2022 college draft grades, make sure you check the description below where I did the draft grades last week. But I got to thinking, what happens if we did 2021 college draft all over again? Knowing what we know now, what would that redraft of 2021 be like? So that's what I want to do today. So maybe the first and foremost thing we should do is take a look at my big board. So I created a big board, and I'll tell you what. This big board was created based upon a few different main criteria. First is games played. If they played all the games in the regular season, they got a lot of points. Second, how many points did they score in the season? It was weighted on games, points. How many points they score? Of course, the more points they scored for their team, generally, the more valuable they are. Then it was weighted on caused turnovers. How many caused turnovers? Because we want to try to get those defenders some bumps, even though they may not be scoring points. So I weighted caused turnovers heavily. And then I detracted some points for turnovers. So those players that got on the field but also turned the ball over a lot. We don't want that. So they got downgraded. So this is basically what I used in my formula to create my list. Now I also found the top 50 players, and if any of the players were in the top 50, of course they were on the top of the list. And really the top 4 players came from that top 50 list. Jeff Teat was in the top 50 list. T.D. Erlin was in the top 50 list. Danny Logan and Steven Refus were all in that top 50 list. So they are therefore at the top of the big board. That's how it works. Pretty simple. Let's get into it. This is my 2021 college redraft. Taking a look at the teams, and this is going to be kind of painful because Redwoods, I'm sorry. I may have gotten rid of somebody and I didn't mean to, but it's what it is. All right, so here we go. Taking a look at the big board, you see on the right-hand side what my big board looks like. You see on the left-hand side, this is round 1 of the college draft. So, first and foremost, round 1, this is kind of a no-brainer. Jeff Teat was, what was he, 7, I think, in the top 25 rankings? I mean, look, if a guy's 7, he's probably going number 1. Next up, number 2, Water Dogs. Water Dogs really needed some offense. In 2020, they were 6 of 7 in offense. So I'm going to go offense. Steven Refus, putting him up here. He was a steal. I don't remember who got him. Was it the Cannons? He was a steal in whatever round he went in last time. But we are going to put him on the Water Dogs at the number 2 pick. Boy, that's a big jump from where he was before. Next up, Chrome. Chrome was last in defense in 2020. Last. So, Danny Logan, all-star midfielder in the top 50. You are going next. And I might have picked those because of specifically I can't not put T.D. Erlin on the Redwoods. But let's go. T.D. Erlin to the Redwoods. So there we go. There's our first 4 picks. And those ones were kind of easy because those first 4... Oh, let's move that down just a little bit. Maybe, possibly. Those first 4 picks were top 50 players. That makes it pretty simple, right? Top 50 player, that's, you pretty much have to go there. So next up, we have the Archers on the list. And the Archers, well, they could use anybody, but I think Jackson plays attack and plays Jackson Morrill, plays attack. I think he plays it pretty well. I think he may potentially be better than Holman, or they could get creative with him. But Jackson Morrill really shared that he is definitely a good quality attackman. Let's put him out there. He scored some points this past year. Next up, we've got Chaos on the list. And Chaos, they needed some defensive help. Chaos definitely needed some defensive help. I think Ryan Taranfanko just has that dog mentality. I think he fits well on the Chaos. Again, working our way top to bottom on the draft board because the big board is, based upon my rankings, the best of the best to the... You guys are awesome. Great job making it pro lacrosse because that's pretty awesome. Next up, we've got the Whips, and the Whips, they just love offensive weapons. I think Caraway gives them a great offensive weapon. He's next on the list. I think it makes a lot of sense to just go Jake Caraway in this spot. Man, he'd be a good player on that team, and they don't need great offensive weapons at this point. So he's really just best available. I don't think the Whips need anything specifically, just depth. They're getting Jake Caraway. The Atlas, they pretty much just need everything. Let's be honest. They really just need everything. Defense, I don't know that we're really focused on defense at this point. They do have a lot of picks in this draft. So we're going to go Mac O'Keefe. I want to go offensive player for them. Mac O'Keefe, I mean, you got Jeff Teat. Now you got Mac O'Keefe. I think they're going to be pretty good on offense on this redraft as well. Let's move down. That is the end of round one. We've got Jeff Teat, Steven Refus, Danny Logan, T.D. Erlin, Jackson Morrill, Ryan Taranfanko, Jake Carraway, and Mac O'Keefe off the board. And this is kind of following the pattern of my best available. And some of these people I literally are just putting over there because they are the best available. Cannons, here we go. We see the Cannons showing up, and they are getting their first pick in the draft. Again, they literally could use anyone, every position they need help on. Colin Squires appeared to be arguably the best defender out of these two between Jack and Colin. You know, that's up for debate. But we're going to throw Colin Squires right here on that line for the Cannons. Next up, Atlas. Again, the rich get richer. So the first 2 rounds, they went offensive players. I'm going to go defense this time. They went offense first 2 rounds. Let's throw a Jack Kilty on the Atlas. Give him a little defensive help. Another stud player. Gosh, they're just raking in all the awesome players. It's no wonder they were fantastic last year. They had a lot of draft picks, by the way. A lot of draft picks. Next up for the Atlas, this is hard because, so you'll see, Sowers is right here. Atlas is right there. Sowers had some injuries this past year, and I kind of moved him up the list into a spot he probably shouldn't be, but it's Michael Sowers. He could kind of change your crew. So I think it makes sense that we put Sowers right here on the Atlas. Again, they could use some more offensive help, but let's just pull back for a second. Could you imagine Jeff Teat, Michael Sowers on the attack, and you've got Mac O'Keefe? What? This team just got game changed forever. Now, they did pretty good on their own, but I think I'm doing a better job for them here. Next on the clock, we've got Chrome at the 12th pick. Chrome, again, they were looking for defense. Where do we go with them in the first round? They went Danny Logan. We got a short stick D-mid, a stud short stick D-mid. They still need some defensive help. I'm going Jared Connors, long stick midi from Virginia. Give them more help. They need more defensive help to stay in games. Let's just put it that way. All right. Next up, Archers. Archers, again, just building depth. I don't know. I don't think they need an attackman at this point because we did go attack with Jackson in the first round. I think we're going to a more offensive midfielder. Let's give him Trey LeClaire. I think Trey LeClaire makes a lot of sense there. Coming out of the box, helping them from that perspective. Gosh, the Archers' offense is looking ridiculously deadly at this point. Fogo would be another great place to go, but I'm going to be honest with you. If you weren't T.D. Erlin in this draft, our Fogos, they didn't do so well last year. So I think we're going Trey LeClaire in this one. All right, next up, we got Chaos with the next 2 picks. I think you have to go Ethan Walker to the Chaos, and I'll tell you why. Ethan Walker's Canadian. Boom. Done. Next best available. Ethan Walker's Canadian. That's a no-brainer over there for Coach Towers. He loves his Canadians. That's just a perfect fit. Next up, I'm going Charlie Bertrand. Again, next available. We went attack, short stick, D-mid, and now we're going with a pure midi. I think Bertrand, I shouldn't say pure midi. He could play attack or mid. But Bertrand is just a nice big body. Pairing him up with the Dane Smith, I think that's a pretty good combination you got going on there. So there we are, rounding out the second round of the draft. We've got the Whip Snakes back on the board. What did we do with the Whips in the first? They went attack in the first. Probably could go defense here, but I'm thinking there's no defenders kind of on this list at this point that are worth taking. I think you kind of have to go with one of the next best players, which is a midfielder. Because we went attack, we're going to go midfield. I'm throwing Dox Aiken on the Whips at the end of round 2. So that takes us to round 3, and frankly, there's not very many players left, so I didn't do a round 4 on this one. You could do it on your own if you wanted to do a round 4, but once you get towards the bottom of the list, these guys didn't really contribute a ton to their teams. So we're only going 3 rounds in this one, plus this video is probably getting pretty long at this point. Yeah, we're going to be close to the 10-minute mark here. So, round 3, kicking us off, Atlas. So you will notice there is a person that went very high in the draft last time that I have all the way down at the bottom of my draft board. And I told you, part of the reason the draft board is the way it is because I value their ability to play. JT Giles Harris did not have the chance to play in the 2021 season. He was injured all season long. So I don't think you go first round when you're injured. Second round, you could have argued he probably should have went. But too many teams have too many holes that they want to fill to be immediately productive. At this point, The Atlas has taken, one, two, three, four players in the first 2 rounds. I'm going to say they can go with a JT Giles Harris. We focused on offense all along to this point. The rich get richer with the Atlas. A JT Giles Harris in the 3rd round seems like a bit of a steal, but again, he didn't play at all last year, which is why he's down at the bottom of my list. And frankly, he shouldn't be probably at the bottom, but I think it makes sense to take him here in the 3rd round. Boy, that was a long story to say. JT Giles Harris to the Atlas, 3rd round. Next up, we've got the Water Dogs. They are picking at 18. The Water Dogs, really, at this point, we're giving them the best available, I think. Who we want to go with? We want to go with Ryan Smith, best available at this point. Again, they could just use some more offensive production. We did do Water Dogs in the 1st round with a Steven Refuse. Let's give him a little Ryan Smith to go with him. I just really wanted that to be somewhat centered. All right, next up, we've got Chaos back on the clock. We've done a little bit of everything. Short stick, D-mid, offensive players, attackman, midi. This time, let's go defense. And I'm going to go with a Nick Grill. Nick Grill just feels like, have you seen the picture? Have you seen his card, his trading card? He just looks like a guy that fits on the Chaos. So I'm going Nick Grill next up to the Chaos on the defensive end. Next up, we've got Chrome. And Chrome, we spent a lot of time building up their defensive side. You probably got to go best available offensive player. We're going to go Ryan Tierney at this point. Very interesting to me that based upon my metrics, Ryan Tierney shows up. I shouldn't say Ryan Tierney, but just that Colin Kirst shows up this far down the list, Connor Kirst. I think it was partly because there's just a stacked team there at the Whips. So Connor Kirst didn't get as much playing time as maybe he would on a potential other team. But you know what? Since Connor Kirst is out there at this point, Archers, there's not a whole lot else out there that would be worthwhile for you. I'm going Connor Kirst to the Archers. Let's see what kind of creative nonsense they can do with him. Next, we are back to the Chaos yet again. Best available at this point. We're getting towards the 3rd round. Of course, yes, there is one more round to go. I told you the face-off guys really didn't do too well last year. I think at this point, we're just kind of rolling through best available. The Whips, at this point, probably ought to take a Tanner Cook. Again, just going with best available. And then last but not least, we're going to throw Jamie Trimboli down into the Redwood slot. So there it is. There's my 2021 College Redraft. We'll scroll to the top real quick. Atlas, Jeff Teat, Steven Refuse to the Water Dogs, Danny Logan to Chrome, TD Erlin, staying with the Woods, let's go. Jackson Morrell to the Archers, Ryan Taranfanko for Chaos, I think that's a missed opportunity there. Jake Caraway to the Whips, Mac O'Keefe going to the Atlas because the Atlas have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds, insane. Cannons with their only pick in the first 3 rounds. Colin Squires on defense. Jake Kilty and Michael Sowers next go to Atlas. Jared Connors to Chrome. Trey LeClaire to the Archers. Chaos then get Ethan Walker, Canadian, of course. A big-bodied Charlie Bertrand makes sense. Dox Aiken, midfielder, going over to the Whips. And then we rounded out with round 3, JT Giles Harris, who went, I think, was a number 2 pick last year. We're putting him in the 3rd round because the injury kept him off the field. Ryan Smith going to the Water Dogs. Nick Grill with that hairdo going to Chaos. It just makes sense. Ryan Tierney, attackman from Hofstra, going over to Chrome. Connor Kirst from Rutgers going to the Archers. Jeff Trainer to Chaos. Best available happening at this point. Tanner Cook going to the Whips. And Jamie Trimboli rounding it out, going to the Redwoods. So there it is. There's my 2021 College Redraft. Let me know, do you disagree with some of it? Would you take somebody different in these earlier rounds? Do you rank somebody differently? Let me know. So there it is, my 2021 Redraft. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Hit the subscribe because we enjoy talking PLL content. We're going to get back to some more tips for lacrosse next week. But gosh, PLL summer is coming, and we are getting very excited. Well, thanks for stopping by around here. 2021 College Redraft, out.